Okay, well, we have a little bit of time before the break, so let's talk a little bit about your current enterprise, the one that you formed in 2004, and some of the major projects you've done. Of course, you worked on the family's projects before your own independent entity, but talk about some of the projects of Birtcher Development and Acquisitions.
Yeah, during really 1969 to 1979, we were involved in a number of projects, but let me focus on a couple recent ones. We've done 60 million feet.
The one since 94.
The recent one that we did was probably most significant was the Kroger distribution facility. It was 550,000 square feet up in Paramount. It's a big building. It's a state-of-the-art distribution facility for one of the state-of-the-art food providers, Kroger.
And there's brand names?
Food for Less and Ralph's.
Mm-hmm.
They built really a facility for the century for them. Mm-hmm. And it was a 30-year lease with 2 10-year options, making it the highest valued industrial lease signed in the history of American industrial real estate.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a very difficult project, but it was a wonderful group to work with, and we're very proud of the team at Birtcher that did it. And then recently, we just had finished the building permits, and we'll be breaking ground shortly on the Gonzalez family's project called Northgate Markets Distribution and Headquarters Facility in Anaheim. It'll going to be located on the corner of the 91 and the 5 freeway on Magnolia. It's a 375,000 square foot warehouse.
And that enterprise, is that more appealing to the Hispanic community, those supermarkets?
Yeah, you know, I think as the county grows, we have developed into an incredibly diverse society, and obviously the Hispanic community is the premier and fastest growing group of those ethnic groups, and the Northgate Foods is probably, without a doubt, the finest Hispanic food chain in the Southland, and growing very rapidly.
And headquartered in Orange County?
And headquartered in Orange County in Anaheim. They've been there for decades, and so it's a wonderful family. You know, it's fun to have a family business that can work for and alongside another family business.
And that facility is similar to the Kroger facility?
Yes, it's going to be a state-of-the-art food, cold storage and dry storage and commissary facility for Northgate. It'll be state-of-the-art when it comes to transportation and food reprocessing, and kind of from a green standpoint, a very ecologically and environmentally sensitive facility. It'll be LEED certified. It will have some very progressive food recapture and reprocessing procedures that they are going to be implementing into the plant as well.
And just getting off a little bit, this is the kind of stuff you like to do right now in this environment. You're not going to build a 5-star hotel. You're not going to build a new condominium tower in Irvine. You're not going to build a new office tower right now.
No.
This is what you can do.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is this is an environment where corporations that really need to grow and can't find what they need, recessions are the perfect time, because land is cheap, capital's cheap, contractors will return your phone call. And
they're not too busy.
Yeah,
and they'll probably give you a better price.
And the pricing's
and materials might be less expensive.
Materials are more readily available, and I think what's exciting for them is they finally get the state-of-the-art facility that will handle their business plan for the decade ahead. So we see a lot of build-to-suits now, and we're attempting to accommodate those in the next several years.
Let's take a break at this point, and of course, now that you've got Birtcher Development and Acquisitions, it's all your deal, but you were involved in this great family legacy, and it's amazing what the Birtcher family has done, not just in Orange County, but in Southern California. I'd like to talk about some of those big projects when we come back from our break, which will be just a minute, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Be the first to know. Get breaking news email daily from the Orange County Business Journal. Sign up at ocbj.com.
Well, welcome back. Brandy, when we stopped for the break, we just talked about some of the major projects that you've done since you've done your development company on your own. But you were part of the family's legacy that goes all the way back, from the beginning of last century. Talk about some of the major projects, because there's been a lot that you worked with your family and in the last 40 or 50 years.
Right. But back probably in 1969 was probably the first major event when I entered the firm. In '76, we were deep involved with the Southern Pacific Railroad, who had actually picked Birtcher to be their sole developer nationwide They contributed 2.8 million acres to the partnership on a
almost 3 million acres of land.
Yeah, and it was a undertaking of determining the highest and best use and doing the financing, the design, the leasing, and the eventual sale of each of the product. Did about 5 million feet a year. And one of the projects that we did in 1972 on railroad property was up in Santa Monica in the West Hollywood area, actually, called the Pacific Design Center.
Which is iconic. Everyone knows that building.
Well, it's got a nickname, the Blue Whale. And it's the headquarters for the interior design and home furnishings industry for architects and interior decorators, and was about 1.1 million square feet.
It's huge.
Yeah, and then back in about the mid-'80s, we developed Xerox Center with the Xerox Corporation as our partner.
That's off the 55 freeway?
Yeah, it's right at the 55 and the 5 on First Street in Santa Ana. Xerox took half the tower. It was an 18-story building, and is a was a great experience to work with Xerox as not only a tenant but as a real estate partner. And then in the the early 1990s, we developed Lakeshore Towers here in Irvine, where we developed a 92,000 square foot health club with 24-hour fitness as our executive health club. It's the largest in Orange County.
I have lunch occasionally
El
there.
Fornio, and a 374,000 square foot 18-story office tower with Mission Energy as its anchor tenant when we finished that. And then in the mid-1990s, the Kennedys, a First American title.
Another family-owned business.
They approached us, and along with Rick Lutzke, and said, why don't you folks help us build our new headquarters?
Actually, they went public, but Kennedys have run that company for a long time,
yes,
going back to the 19th century.
Yeah, well, actually, Justice Birtcher, great-granddad, did title work with the Kennedy family.
Yeah.
So our account's been with them forever, and it's been a wonderful relationship because we finished their 300,000-foot building. Then with a unique twist, it had to have that University of Virginia look in the middle of Orange County. And so
great.
I think the architect, LPA, did a wonderful job.
Also on the 55, but it's
Yes.
you know, one of the most distinctive buildings in Orange County.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. How did you end up in this business? You said you weren't pressured to get into real estate, so what was your thoughts growing up?
Yeah, when I was going to grammar school and into the middle grades, I was really a construction labor and became an apprentice carpenter over time. And then when I graduated from Claremont after spending 6 years in the Coast Guard Reserve.
That's back when it was Claremont's men's college.
It was a men's college then.
Co-ed.
Yeah. I then took a focus in the company in property management, and then developed the mid-rise office building product with the family from Colorado to Southern California and then up in Oregon. And then in the 90s, I took a turn for 4 years commuting down to Mexico City and Guadalajara during the recession. There was just very little work here in the U.S. We followed our corporate tenants down south, and during the NAFTA boom, we were able to build the headquarters and remodel a significant facility for the Hyatt Regency. The hotel was an existing 200-room hotel that we remodeled and built a new tower adjacent to it of 110 rooms, and then went to Mexico City and built the General Electric and Levi Strauss facilities, and Allergan and Bechtel offices as well.
You improved your Spanish a little bit while you're there?
It did improve quite a bit, but it was a great playing in a away game, I call it. I learned an awful lot, kind of got my MBA in real estate development down there.
And then you came back here.
Yeah, came back here. I assisted the family in buying the firm back from Mitsui, and then in 2004, bought the family out of the development business.
But there's still a part of the family, your uncle, your cousin.
Uncle and cousin are still very active in the business. They have a wonderful property management and acquisition company headquartered in Capistrano.
Which is what they wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly, and they're excellent at it, and they've been extremely successful.
Now, Birtcher Development and Acquisitions, which is your company, you've positioned it pretty uniquely. Why don't you talk a little bit about the culture of your company?
Yeah.
Now that's your baby.
Yeah, it's interesting when you depart a family environment and then create your own. It does take on your own personality, but one of the things that I have really enjoyed about this business is that every job is different. It's unique. And one of the things that I learned very early on in my career was that I was not blessed with a Spanish land grant. And so as a result, we had to really become extremely competitive with some wonderful ranches.
When did you figure that out?
Well, early on in the game. It was all about land pricing.